Today on the show, it's the scandal that's gone by many names. Deflategate, Bulgazi, CSI, PSI. And if you're anything like us, you're extremely tired of hearing about it, which is why there'll be no talk of balls on today's podcast.
Yes, Sean, we will only talk about the things that matter here today, that being Super Bowl food, Super Bowl commercials, and the game itself.
And that's not the only action this weekend. Also, a big-time UFC fight. We'll break down Silva, Diaz. It's all coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome. It's episode 39 of the Sean and Bo Show. I'm Sean O'Donnell, joined as always by my co-host, Bo Greer. And Bo, it's Super Bowl week. There's tons to talk about, but before we get to that, I have to issue a public apology and retraction.
What's that?
Now, last week we were talking about your boy Greg Anthony getting busted for the solicitation of a prostitute.
Okay.
And you were saying that his career was going to be over, and I said, well, ask your buddy Marv Levy about that. I was not talking about Marv Levy. I was talking about Marv Albert. I do not mean to besmirch the reputation of Mr. Levy. He's not a sexual deviant as far as I know, but, you know.
No, just a man that fell short in a few Super Bowls. Great coach.
Mistakes happen. I'll live with it.
Let's just rebound. It's about what you do moving forward. Don't get caught up on that play.
Well, this last weekend, we had the extreme excitement of witnessing the Pro Bowl. It was about as boring as you could expect, besides for one man, Michael Irvin. Now, it started off in the first half of the game. I knew something was up because he was like doing illegal blitzes and stuff. And I was like, wow, this guy's intense. He wants to win this game. Then as the game went on, and there was some question about whether or not Team Irvin would pull off the victory, I saw a man that looked like he had a significant amount of money riding on this game. Now, I'm not talking about like the $27,000 versus $54,000 or whatever it is that the participants get paid based on winning or losing. No, I think he had a little side bet going on. Yeah. Dude was straight up nervous in the fourth quarter. He looked like he was about to throw on some pads, get out there and try to catch a pass. That's cold sweat. That's gambler sweat.
The man was serious. I agree. When I did allow myself to tune into that game and see a few plays, there was a nice, cool catches here and there, and it was just nice to see all those players on the field at once. But I do agree, Sean, the man looked like he was ready to pay out some money, but he got lucky and he came away a winner that night.
Yeah, he sure did, which is good because now he can pay off his dealer. But something about the Pro Bowl, you were saying that the players are actually missing. It's not the beaches of Hawaii, but rather...
Yeah. It's not the beaches of Hawaii. It is the chicken wings. And this is the thing.
The wings.
I can't get over this. Apparently, when the local beat reporter for ESPN, his name is Josh Weinfuss, if I'm pronouncing that right, was prowling around Pro Bowl headquarters this week before the Super Bowl. I imagine local beat reporters are getting a warm-up before the media day that was today. He decided, I'm going to go talk to Antonio Cromartie, Patrick Peterson, and A.J. Green, all guys who we know have either spent time in the desert or played for Arizona. And he asked them, how do you guys liking it here? Well, he got exactly what you would expect. These guys were upset about everything, Sean. You could go back, read this article. I thought it was a good piece, and that's why I wanted to mention it today, because I thought the most interesting thing was not just the chicken wings, but was the fact that these players said that they had more access to each other. Apparently the resort they have them staying at, it's not as family-oriented, and there's just, there might be like a Microsoft conference going on in the room down the road.
They're not hanging out with Peyton Manning shirtless poolside.
Exactly. So if there are a lot of stars, there's fans walking around, there's regular Joes. These people can't be themselves. Their kids aren't running around, so they're not enjoying it. And I just think it's interesting that it got so bad that they started bringing up the food. Football players know one thing. We know somebody's in charge of feeding us and keeping us happy. And if we're not fed and happy, somebody's job's in jeopardy. So now, whoever that person is for the NFL, he's like, man, these guys did not enjoy this. We talked on the last episode, they're going back to Hawaii.
Yeah, a couple years.
whoever runs that resort in Hawaii, they are going to be running tests leading up to this Pro Bowl experience. They're going to be like, we need to prep. They're going to be doing tests on those wings.
But what about these wings? What makes these wings so special?
I don't know. I tried to find something about it. I looked up the resort. I don't know what it is. So here's my next thing. Twitter, you've exposed me to Twitter with this show. We need to find a way to contact somebody that works for that resort on Twitter. They have to have some sort of Twitter handle, maybe Facebook page. I would be willing to go as far as to spend $50 to $75 of my hard-earned money to get some of those wings next day to Albuquerque because I want to try them.
Just throw them on some dry ice in a styrofoam box. They'll be fine. We'll reheat them.
A few of these guys have spent time in Buffalo. Some of these guys are from the South. And when you got brothers saying things like second best chicken I've ever had, third best chicken, first best chicken.
In
Hawaii, I'm like, okay, we need to get these wings here. We got to eat these now.
Well, forget snorkeling. If I ever go to Hawaii, I know what I'm doing. Gaining 20 pounds.
Yeah, and if the resort's closed and you show up late, probably go to jail because the anticipation of being on the flight and thinking about these wings.
I'll be at the kitchen door. Let me in there.
Wake up.
That's bizarre. Hawaii, of all places. That's not normally the chicken capital of the world. I'd think like Atlanta maybe would have the best wings or something like that. But
stories like this are exactly why I'm not afraid to just stop and eat. You never know what
you're not
hole.
afraid.
Yeah,
No.
You can tell. You never know the hole in the wall. You're going to sit your happy little keister in, and they're going to serve you those blueberry pancakes that is going to make that tear come out of your eye and drop off your cheek.
Why do I always get hungry? Like not even halfway through this damn podcast.
Stop. We talk about food all the time. I'm telling you.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Super Bowl food coming up a little bit later in the show. But, Bo, some bad news for Lakers fans as Kobe Bryant is out for the season. What is this, the third season in a row? He's had a season-ending injury, this time a rotator cuff. I'm not a doctor in case you didn't know, but I've heard that the real pain in that injury is the recovery. It's obviously something you use in almost any athletic endeavor you can name, so it's kind of critical to his game. But I wonder, Bo, is this it for Kobe Bryant? Is he so battered up now after all these injuries and playing for a kind of crappy team anyway at this point that he's going to hang it up?
TMZ was reporting he played laser tag. Did you see that?
Huh.
Apparently, after this injury and everything, he was out playing laser tag or paintball. I'm not sure, but in my mind, he's retired. And you can say, well, no, he can come back. Don't give up. I just hope the brother secured another revenue stream. Whenever I see guys acting like this,
yeah, I think he's opening up a resort in Colorado.
Oh yeah, what's it called?
Hopefully, he doesn't have to buy
Eagle's Nest.
Hopefully, he doesn't have to buy his wife any more of those rings as a result of it. But
yeah.
Now, see, I disagree. I think that Kobe is one of these guys that has such competitive fire in him that they're going to have to drag him kicking and screaming off the NBA court for him to finally hang him up.
I don't know. I don't always get into that because I don't know. I think the same guy who has figured out a way with his millions of dollars to secure a revenue stream that equals that, or one day Magic Johnson surpasses what he was making on the court, is the same guy who understands when to hang things up. When I see a guy like Kobe out there just beating his body into the ground doing this, it just makes me think that it's like, hey, baby, you know, if I make it to 2016, they owe me $38 million. And they're in there dancing on the bed, throwing hundreds up in the air. That's just how I think that stuff goes down. But maybe I'm wrong. Kobe, maybe you rehab, you get the baby Lakers together. That's what I call them now. I don't see it. I've given up on the Kobe era. It's time to clean house. Forget about the Phil Jackson, Shaquille O'Neal era, Kobe Bryant. It's over, people. Move on. I have.
Well, another California basketball team making some headlines with some kind of interesting jerseys they were wearing the other day, Bo.
Yeah, I thought this was funny. I think the NBA has officially told the American people, yes, we value your dollar, but we get a whole lot of them in China. As we know, the NBA has a larger market in China. There's 1 billion people. You got Japan. Asia is a great place for basketball. Plus, on top of it all, They sell more jerseys over there than any other place in the world.
Well, not just that, but it's sort of the future of the league. I mean, they're getting so much talent out of China these days that it's kind of smart for the NBA to try to appeal to that culture as much as possible.
Well, yeah, and it's it's cool. It's good to see. But the Golden State Warriors, which the owner said the Asian culture is a warrior culture. I wanted to find out if that was politically correct. That's why I wanted to bring it up on the show.
Ask Japan how they feel about that.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if you can say that, but he said it, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. But when he brings that up, they said, hey, let's go ahead and honor our Asian fans. They buy jerseys, they watch our games. So they're wearing jerseys that are going to be showing highlights of the Chinese New Year. It's going to have some letters on it. It's going to have colors that match the flag. It's really cool that they do these types of things, but hey, we see what the NFL's doing. We just watched what college football is able to accomplish with a 4-team playoff. If you want to go ahead and battle UFC, NASCAR, and Major League Baseball for that 3rd, 4th, and 5th spot, go ahead. Make your bed there. But I'm a guy, I want to be first in everything I do. If I was the commissioner of the NBA, I would cut down the playoffs like we talked about. I said something about it last week on the show. And I would make the season a little bit shorter. I would make sure that our markets get us in the areas where the NFL already is, because we know they have diehard fans.
Sure.
I don't know. I can't understand why you have all these American teams. It would make more sense if they would just say, hey, let's put some teams in China, which they say is the future. Mm-hmm. But let's be serious about it. Let's put teams in these European places, put their players there. Let's fuel this with some country rivalries. It'll be like a Rocky movie. This will be cool.
Speaking of multiple sports in the same city, I kind of miss how they used to do it, where they would like all the team names would kind of be under the same theme.
Yes.
Like the Bears and the Cubs.
Made sense.
They should do that more. I like that.
Yeah, things are out of control. The owners, I guess that's because the owners would own those teams in those cities. They would own more than one sports team, I guess. Is that why that would happen?
I mean, it's just smart business as far as I'm concerned. You get somebody that maybe somebody's not a baseball fan, but if you paint that whole theme with the broad brush, then man, hey, maybe you sell some more merchandise just because it relates to the sport that they do follow, because it's related. Yeah, it just seems smart.
Yeah, it's like Minnesota. You have the Vikings. Vikings are tall, monstrous group of people that would come in and take your village. And
as we know, Vikings used to ride Timberwolves into battle. Learned that in history class.
There you go. That's what I was getting at. So it would make sense. Yeah, paint them purple, put some gold in those uniforms, call them something related to a Viking. I don't know what it could be. Or I don't know, call them the baby Vikings. I don't know. What could you call them?
I'm not up to date on my Norse culture.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not a big Viking culture guy. I can't think of any name I could give to them. The Pillagers?
Yeah. The old Minnesota rapists. God, I love seeing this team play out there.
The Pillagers came into Chicago and they tore it down this week. Women were shouting from the rafters.
Well, today, Bo, was the big media day at the Super Bowl, and I'm not too surprised by this, but Marshawn Lynch kind of stole the headlines by being Marshawn Lynch. It sounded a little something like this.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to. I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please. I'm here so I won't get fined. 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 I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Oh, it's poetry in motion. But interestingly enough, speaking of fines, the NFL threatened Marshawn with a $500,000 fine if he didn't show up for media day.
It's officially here. It's this society. It's like all the books they made us read in English class as kids, where we have these gladiators, these athletes in this arena, and all the things that are wrong going on in the world, which I don't even want to begin to get into. And they're willing to go over there and they're going to force feed this guy questions. I don't know the official minutes. I don't know how many hundreds of media personnel were around this guy at this moment, but I guarantee it was way more than there needed to be. And I seen some of the videos. I watched
way more than it needed to be. Have you seen Media Day? It's like it looks like a rock concert on the main floor with people moshing around.
Exactly. And I'm just thinking, here's this guy. He's over here going to give you the same answer. He's already told you, but there's a group of people who are very highly educated. They're going to stand there and keep asking him the same questions. What is the definition of insanity, Sean? What did they say? What did Einstein?
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
That's it. Yeah. That's where I was going with that. We'll just leave it at that. Marshawn Lynch, it's funny. Never thought I'd say this about a guy who is reaching for an axe when he's about to ask me something. But he may be the smartest man in those interviews.
Wouldn't doubt it. Well, you know, a lot of people had speculated that Marshawn suffers from some sort of social anxiety disorder. And I kind of thought that made sense, but not so, says Marshawn's mama. Now, this was an article in the Seattle Times from about a month ago where she was asked about it, and she said, quote, "He's not going to talk. They think he's crazy, but he's far from crazy. He just doesn't like the media." So the reporter asked, you know, well, what, is he an introvert, shy? She says, by no means. He's shy when he wants to be. He's a selective man. But he's not shy on the football field, which is something we know. But he's also not shy, Bo, in commercials, because I guess if the dude's getting paid, he will run his mouth a little bit. He had a little faux press conference with Skittles, correct?
Yeah, it was really cool to see Skittles get on board with this. Obviously, it's the Super Bowl, so anybody who can is going to get their logo involved with the Super Bowl teams. And Marshawn Lynch, I thought it was really cool that the fake presser they put together, one of the questions that was given to him, Sean, it says, "How does it feel in beast mode?" And Marshawn just simply replies, "You don't feel in beast mode. It fills you." And he's just dead serious, popping Skittles, throwing them out in the crowd. And it allows you to see what Pete Carroll is talking about, what the local Seattle fans, the charities, the organizations, the beat reporters, the writers, they all like Marshawn Lynch. They say he would not do anything to harm that team, and he is the ultimate team player. And later on in the show, when we talk about the keys to winning the Super Bowl, I was amazed when I was looking up the stats and things, but Marshawn Lynch only has one fumble. The man doesn't drop the ball. He is that offense, because we know what their team relies on, and that's defense, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
And that's not even the only commercial he did. Did you see the one he did for Progressive Insurance?
I haven't seen that one
It's
yet.
with Kenny Mayne from ESPN. It's actually really funny. I have a feeling that's going to be one of the actual commercials during the Super Bowl. He concludes it by saying, "I'm all about that flow, boss."
You know what? And I imagine you're right about that. I don't see how this doesn't ignite. He's like Icky Woods, the Icky Shuffle, doing the cold cuts.
That's right.
Yeah, I've seen he's just got a list of commercials coming out with Geico now.
Meanwhile, the NFL, despite looking absolutely terrible dealing with this whole Deflategate scandal, is making money off of something they fined Marshawn Lynch for, the crotch grab celebration after he scored a touchdown. They're actually selling some of those like photo collage plaques featuring that very picture. Now that is just good old home-cooked NFL hypocrisy.
Yeah, well, I think we all know that before the whole documentary came out talking about the NFL and concussions and the books and everything, they would have sold pictures of people's legs getting broke. I'm serious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, technology got to a point to where we have these cameras everywhere. We got everything. The Matrix movie was 20 years ago. They can do some cool stuff. And we never, like, there was going to be a time, I forget what they call them. There's like bone-crushing hits. And you could see them. They're like NFL highlights would air during the week, and they have all these cut-ups of these crazy just collisions, which now, if they highlighted that, we'd all call them hypocrites, which we know they are.
No, they've already made their money off of that for decades.
Yeah, they made so much money
NFL
off of that.
films, too.
Yeah, NFL films. You just, the list goes on. I remember that was a common stocking stuffer around the Greer household as a youth. You would come down Christmas Day, be looking through something, and you'd see a little square rectangle box, and you're like, that's some sort of ESPN collection. You knew your parents called up that one. Oh, I know it. I'll get him one of those. He's always watching ESPN.
Do you remember that sweet ass football phone you would get with those deals too?
Yeah.
Kind of want one of those. I don't even have a landline, but that'd be cool to bust out.
That would be bad.
Coming up on the show, Josh Gordon has failed yet another drug test, and he's going to be out for about a year. Plus, Brent Grimes' wife versus the NFL. And then later on in the show, we're going to be talking about the big UFC event this weekend, as well as the keys to the Super Bowl matchup. It's all coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Hey, everybody. Thank you very much for listening, as always, to the Sean and Bo Show. You can find old episodes. Go to seanandboshow.podomatic.com. But Bo, as we've been telling these fine people, follow us on Twitter. It's at Sean and Bo Show, at Sean and Bo Show. And we got a bunch of new followers this week. That's awesome. Want to give a little bit of love to one of them, Bo. Natalia, at Natalia5727. Go follow her. She wrote us at Sean and Bo Show. I'm a fan, love the variety the most. I went back a couple episodes, and my favorite, spot-on analysis of Indiana nightlife. So there you go, Bo. I thought you'd appreciate that from Natalia. Natalia at Natalia5727. Thank you very much. So follow us on Twitter. Let us know what you think of the show, and we could be reading your tweet next week. Again, the Twitter at Sean and Bo Show.
Welcome back to the Sean and Bo Show, and thanks for joining us on this very special Super Bowl segment. Yes, it is time to talk NFL Super Bowl, but we got to go back and talk about a young man that I was hoping, Sean, we could just forget about him until we hear about him catching touchdowns, and that is Mr. Josh Gordon.
This is got to be the stupidest guy in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. I think NFL players should be able to smoke weed until they turn green. But you know it's against the rules. You've already failed a couple of drug tests. Now you fail another one, and you're going to be suspended for an entire year. And this guy's not like some scrub player. He had a good amount of talent, Bo, and he's pretty much thrown all that away. Maybe he can come back after he sits down for an entire season, but that's a hard thing to do. And now he's going to be watching on TV just like the rest of us. For the Browns organization, I mean, they just can't catch a break. There were reports that the players thought Johnny Manziel's first year was a total joke. And now this, you need your skill players to have a little bit more character off the field than this. And it's just absolutely ridiculously stupid.
No, I totally agree. And when I was reading this article today, the one thing that kept popping in my head, I was thinking about a friend of mine. I'm not going to mention names. He recently went through an incident like this.
It's Marv Levy.
And not Marv Levy, unfortunately, where he wasn't afforded the same opportunities Josh Gordon was through being an NFL star, playing for the Browns, and obviously being able to buy his way out of probation and probably getting his sentences reduced because he can get a good attorney. My friend, on the other hand, it's public defender. This is your second offense. He too, alcohol, DWIs. They were more worried about him losing the license that he has where he can work on specific types of machinery that requires him to be clean and sober. So he was sentenced to a state, it was a facility that's like, it's a rehab facility, but it's state order. They run it, the state runs, basically you have corrections officers in there. This man's been clean and sober now. It's going to be coming up on a year here soon. He's doing great. I think about this young man and Josh Gordon and my friend, they're around the same age. Josh Gordon gets put into a facility like this. Somebody who's drinking alcohol midday. My friend also violated his probation because he got a surprise alcohol test midday. You need help.
Yeah.
You're not sitting around at 11 a.m. buzzing off cold ones from the 7-Eleven.
I mean, not unless football's on.
Yeah,
then it's excusable.
Like I said,
don't paint me into a corner here, Bo.
You do those things on a weekend, cutting loose, whatever, a big game. We all know there's occasions that we do that stuff. But that's generally for the hard-working men and women who stay out of trouble. If I'm on probation from my job, which pays me $900,000 a game, and then I'm on probation from what state of Pennsylvania or Ohio, wherever he was, it's no 10 a.m. drinking for me. It's time to calm down. and Josh Gordon didn't get the memo. And this was what I was going to bring up when I was talking about this article. I'm looking at draft speculations already because me, being a Cowboys fan, I'm now in the upper echelon, and I only have to worry about a few draft picks to solidify my next Super Bowl.
Yeah, huh? Was it nice seeing Jason Garrett again this year out on the Pro Bowl sidelines?
It's almost like after they gave him that money, his hair got a little bit redder. And it's great to see.
Oh, by the way, not to interrupt, but did you see his rousing, emotional speech that he gave his team before Oh, God. Really inspiring stuff there.
I didn't see the speech.
Yeah. I think like literally players were rolling their eyes in the background.
Yeah, like this is the Pro Bowl, man. Be quiet.
That's got to be an awkward deal at the Pro Bowl. It's like you have to listen to somebody else's entire coaching staff, a team that you may or may not hate.
Yeah. And it's also an audition if you're looking for money too.
That's true.
It's a good time to go, I don't know, find a new job. But
I think you do make a good point, and that is like talent. If you're really, really, really good, they'll make a couple exceptions for you. Whereas just the average guy out there, you don't have that benefit because you're expendable.
Yeah, and some people are calling this the strongest wide receiver class in the draft in years. They're saying this wide receiver class is going to be the one we're talking about.
Oh, good. My Chiefs need it.
Yeah, you guys need it, and so do the Browns. So Josh Gordon, like I said, man, the NFL is not kind. They won't call you. Your phone will stop ringing.
Well, he still hasn't made his official decision, but it certainly seems like all indications point towards Peyton Manning making his return to the Denver Broncos. And I was just thinking about this. Bo, as you know, I am far from a Broncos fan, but if you are a Broncos fan, do you want Peyton Manning back, or are you ready to move on to the future of that franchise?
You know how I talk about these things. I'm ready for new all the time because in football, if you're not getting younger, you're not getting better. Old people do not win the game of football. I'm sorry. Brains only take you so far before some 23-year-old, 6'5", 295-pound guy in any position. Notice I just said 6'5", 295 pounds. Heck, I could have been talking about a safety, a tight end, a receiver, a defensive end, an outside linebacker. It could be anybody. Comes across and knocks you into next week. That's when you realize, man, when I was sitting at the lake house with Eli and we were fishing, drinking those PBRs, I should have stayed my butt in that cabin. I don't know what I'm doing out here on this field right now. Peyton, it's time to let it go. And for Broncos fans, I don't feel sorry for you. I don't really like you that much. You guys aren't going anywhere. You're spinning your tires. You're like that really good team that's old and that window is closing and it's closing. And it's so faint now, it's almost like you're staring at the white light after you just survived a horrific accident. You don't know what that is. You don't know if you should walk towards it or listen to those voices yelling your name. Right now, Broncos fans, you are in the twilight zone. And the best thing you have going is Kubiak. I'm not going to lie about that. That's a great decision. Great hire. But Manning, DeMarcus Ware, your running back situation kind of by committee, which Anderson took over, but there's people that are getting paid money, so that's going to be interesting. Well, what are you thinking? What's going to happen there? You know, what do you think, Sean? Is that a playoff team next year?
Yeah, I mean, do you see Peyton Manning winning another Super Bowl? No. So what's even the point for his perspective?
Are they even – because what I'm looking at is the performances. The past two performances were good enough to fake their way into the playoffs and even make it to the Super Bowl. They're not going to be so lucky. The rest of the AFC is getting better. Your team's getting better. The Raiders are going to get better. They're not going to be able to compete moving forward with the teams around them continuing to draft and find young talent.
God, I can't remember the guy's name. You would know this as a Cowboys fan. Former Cowboys coach, kind of schlubby, kind of chubby.
Oh, he's a special teams guy. And
damn it, I should have looked that up.
No, I know who you're talking about. I'm going to get it here in a second. He was in between our Super Bowl and the tuna.
Yeah. white hair.
Starts with a G. Like, golly, why could I think of this guy's name?
This is the worst thing to do on a podcast.
Yeah.
We do it all the damn time. It's like we bring up a name, neither one of us can remember it.
No, the worst thing about this guy is he continues working in the NFL, and I've never figured it out. Like, what is his deal? Does he know where somebody hit a body? Like, is he married to somebody's daughter in the front office? Every other week.
Wade Phillips.
Yes, Phillips, his dad.
Anyway, I bring him up because he went to Denver today. He's interviewing for the defensive coordinator position there under Kubiak.
Players like Wade.
Yeah.
Players play for Wade. Apparently, he is a great defensive mind. It's just interesting to me, though, how some of these guys saying, like, kids, your parents tell you this, adults will tell you this. Sometimes it just pays to be nice. Treat people right.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially when you can make millions of dollars when you're not even qualified.
Josh Gordon.
Yeah. Well, Brent Grimes' wife had herself a hell of a night on Twitter, Bo. I love when this happens. Has a bit of a problem with Goodell in the NFL.
Yeah, I thought it was just hilarious. Miko Grimes, she is the wife of the Dolphins quarterback, Brent Grimes, if you don't know. She had a Twitter explosion. I mean, she went on. You could spend a day reading through these tweets. My favorite one. Yeah, you got to be paying attention to Twitter. My favorite thing that she said was, "I know where the bodies are buried." And when you say things like that, that means you have sit in a room with other NFL wives. You have heard dirty stories. Because all this lady wanted was for her husband to leave this terrible resort, which can't even put together a decent spread of chicken wings, as we know from our past segment, to come be by her side while she had an emergency oral surgery. They're on vacation. Something happened. She needed to have this done immediately. She's rushed in. Jason Garrett approves this for Mr. Brent Grimes, but the NFL turns around and denies him his appearance fee, what he was going to be paid for being in the game. They took it away from him. I didn't even know this was possible.
Well, I mean, he's not going to be there, so should he get paid?
No, he played in the game.
Oh, so okay.
This is the worst thing. Here's where it gets worse. Brent Grimes had a good enough performance where some people think he could have been the MVP for his team, but they think the conspiracy is related to him leaving the facilities to go be with his wife.
Oh, this is before the game took place.
Yes, this is before the game. This is on Wednesday.
Jeez.
Exactly. This isn't even a big deal. I mean, and then so she goes on and on to Twitter, and she starts getting into the fact that he had a contract that was supposed to be $32 million, $16 million guaranteed. And she, like many other NFL wives and families, know the minute he gets the $16 million on that contract, they're going to opt out. They always do that.
Right.
Do it to everybody. So she's just lighting them up. And the best thing that I really think, when I'm going to wrap this up with this, she goes on to talk about rights of women. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, yeah, every time an NFL starter, I'm not going to say anybody in the NFL, but a starter, has a wife that's expected to have a baby during the season, what's the biggest conversation related to it? Oh, is he going to be by her side?
Right.
Is the team going to allow it? The team always allows it. The team will never step on those routes. But the reason they're having those conversations? Now I figured this out. It's because the league still has to rule separately on this stuff. I didn't think about that until now, and I want to know if and when a player decides to go be with his family, his child, just like the player for the Cincinnati Bengals who had the daughter with cancer, if and when he decides to go to her, is there some guy in an office in the NFL headquarters that has to then stamp a piece of paper to approve it? Or he's going to be given a fine? That's just crazy.
Yeah, it kind of seems like they want the image of allowing their players to focus on their family first, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is some pencil pusher in an office somewhere saying, not so fast.
Yeah, because if you put the spreadsheet in front of you and you're paying X player and Y player this many millions of dollars a year, and you can dink and dunk them for 5 G's here, 10,000 there. You were late to this. That's $1,500. Hey, by the end of the year, you managed to save the NFL like $38 million. It's got to be so profitable for them to sit there and watch every little thing these guys do. I would love to know. If there's somebody out there that knows about it, tell me. I'm going to start contacting some ex-NFL players I know, because I want to know if they know any stories of players needing to go in emergency situations to be with family, and the NFL's fined them or punished them.
And by the way, that's why Joe Flacco wasn't at the Pro Bowl, because his wife was expecting, and the due date was could have happened on the Pro Bowl. I don't even know if she had the baby, but he chose not to go to Arizona and instead be with his wife.
And you wonder if that's weighing on his mind. If he's like, well, if I go to the game, then I have to leave. They're just going to take my money anyway.
Yeah.
Big possibility.
Well, if you've ever wanted to enjoy a sporting event while standing on some concrete that was painted the color of sand, University of Central Florida has the greatest idea ever for you.
Yeah. University of Central Florida, Sean, plans to put in a 10,000 square foot beach deck that is called the Eastside Club, short slang, the ESC. If you want to hang out there, I don't know what the prices are going to be yet. Apparently, it's not just going to be painted. It's going to have water. That's what the prototype model showed. It showed people actually standing in water with shorts on. So this thing's going to be enclosed like a tank kind of deal that they have for the stadium in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Like a pool.
Yeah.
It's going to be a full-on beach.
By the way, I'm still very upset that there were no wardrobe malfunctions in that pool over this last season. Let's have the Pro Bowl there next year.
Hey, hold the phones. University of Central Florida. You're talking about the same people that come from the neighborhoods of Jameis Winston. There's going to be some wardrobe malfunctions at these games here.
Strong.
University of Central Florida will probably find themselves involved with, like, I don't know, 8 to 9 games on ESPN2, ESPNU, and whatever station. And all the cameras will have somebody focused on those young co-eds playing in the water.
Keep Brent Musburger away from that stadium.
I can't wait. I will be watching a University of Central Florida Knights game this year just to see what that beach looks like. Oh, can't wait.
Well, coming up on the show, forget all this Deflategate nonsense. Let's talk some X's and O's. Bo and I preview the key factors to the Super Bowl. Also, we're going to be talking about the big UFC fight upcoming this weekend, Silva Diaz. It's all coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Thank you very much for listening to the Sean and Bo Show. However you found the show, whether you're listening on funnelcakesportsradio.com, love those guys. Check them out. If you found us on Reddit, reddit.com/r/Reddit Sports Radio. That's a great place, by the way, to discover more sports-related podcasts. Any sport you like, you'll find a podcast dedicated to it on Reddit. Just like to give a big thank you to all of our loyal listeners. And if you would, please subscribe, rate, and comment the show on iTunes. Just go on iTunes and search for the Sean and Bo Show. Thank you for listening. Welcome back to the Sean and Bo Show. Bo, both of us are fight fans, and we were talking last week, I think we've mentioned it a couple of times, about the potential of the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight. And it could have happened at a basketball court earlier today. Pacquiao and Mayweather both in attendance for a Miami Heat game, and of course, they sat them on opposite ends of the court so that they could basically stare each other down the whole time. And they even put them up on the big screen. It was like a split screen, showed both of them coming in 2015, ? Now, whether or not that fight happens or not, we've discussed at length how it's a bummer for boxing fans because it's not even going to be the fight it could have been. But at least they actually talked at mid-court and apparently exchanged phone numbers. Pacquiao gave Mayweather his number so they could talk directly about the fight. And the deadline for whether that agreement gets done was going to be the end of this month. So hopefully by next week, we're going to be talking about how it has been announced and we can start making our big plans for that Cinco de Mayo fight weekend.
Yeah. Well, and this is something that may have been lost during the late 70s, the 80s, and 90s with boxing because a man by the name of Don King, who had been involved in boxing for a long time, very respected in the sport. With some people hate him. Depends on who you talk to and what books you read. But what he did is he came in and he took the fighters, and they used to, back in the old days, Marshawn to Muhammad Ali, fighters would run in each other in the same gym, same camp, same town, same neighborhood, same bar, same church. Hey, I want to fight you. Yeah, my brother said you were looking for a fight. It went down like that. And then when these guys came in, the promoters that got them more money and took the sport to where it
Act
is
like
now.
you hate each other. Act like you want to kill their kids.
Yes. It sells tickets. It sells pay-per-view. Let me talk to him. I'll do all the talking for you. That's why we have exactly what you see now. Finally, two fighters, two premier boxers of their time said, hey, can I just get your number? Because we need to figure this out. If this doesn't happen, both of our careers are going to be tarnished. Even though it didn't happen when it needed to happen, it needs to go down now. I hope this fight happens within the next 6 months. It goes beyond that point. It's even going to take a further backseat to another UFC match because you know how Dana White rolls. Dana White, I've been looking at what Dana White potentially has with fights. You know he's sitting back there with those fight cards like, hey, go ahead, announce that fight. I got like 12 premier fights that I'm just going to throw out that weekend.
Won't matter. It won't matter. There's nothing that's going to stop that fight if it happens from being the biggest draw probably in the sport ever.
You think Dana White tries to go toe-to-toe?
No, why bother?
No.
You know, you're kind of you know how it happens in elections where they say like one candidate splits the vote. That's basically what he'd be doing. I mean,
and see, Vegas has talked to him about that, about being more of a player.
Yeah.
You know, now don't be messing up everybody else's money.
Sure. Well, I mean, it doesn't even make sense for him. You want all the pay-per-view buys you can sell.
And because what he's also done in the past too is he'll reserve them times to where he'll let Fox have one. Because he'll be like, oh, pay-per-view, but you can watch mine for free on Fox.
No, that's just smart for growing the sport and getting new fans on board and
Yep.
and selling new pay-per-views. But my favorite part about the interaction between Pacquiao and Mayweather was flanked by like 8 or 10 giant security guards. Pacquiao didn't have anybody with him.
Yeah, rolling solo.
Love that.
Thank you.
Just shows such cojones.
I don't know where the entourage became hard. It's never been cool to me. Like, I've always thought the celebrity, the politician, the gangster, whoever they are, that's rolling by himself, that dude right there or that female is one person you do not want to mess with.
See, if this is the WWE, how this fight would get started is Pacquiao would slap Justin Bieber across the face, and then it would just be on.
Yeah, and Lil Wayne's got to lose a dreadlock.
Shoots 50 Cent a couple times, then throws an uppercut.
There you go.
Well, speaking of fights, big time UFC fight coming up on Saturday night before the Super Bowl, Silva Diaz.
Yeah.
Of course, this is the return of Anderson Silva after that horrific leg break. And, you know, I was thinking to myself, wow, this is going to be a great fight. Seems kind of even. We don't know how Silva's good, is he psychologically and physically okay? Because if you break your leg like that, how much confidence can you really have in it? Exactly. So I was thinking, wow, this is going to be a close one. But then I looked up the odds for this fight, and let's see, all the sports books are between minus 425 and minus 470 in favor of Silva.
Yeah.
So I think they know a little something that we don't know.
Well, and you've watched Diaz fight. Diaz can scrap. He loves to throw the hands. I love how he brings energy into the ring, the octagon. But what'll happen is he's going to get caught. Silva's just going to wait, and that boy's going to throw himself into something, and it'll probably be a submission. I think it's going to be submission.
Yeah, I mean, that would certainly make the most sense. If not, I think it's going to be a knockout for Diaz. But yeah, you're right. I think we're going to see a more serious Silva. You're not going to see him clowning around, or at least I would hope not, like on the side of the cage, tell him to hit harder and crap like that. Because he's gone through all this rehab, I think he's going to take this fight real serious.
Yeah, you're right. After a man breaks his leg like he did, I don't see how you don't go into that ring a little bit, eating some humble pie there.
But if I'm being honest, I'm probably looking forward to this fight more than the Super Bowl itself.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good one. It's going to be a good weekend for sports fans.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to talk about it here next, but I just think the Pats get blown up.
Yeah, that's right. Now on to the important part of the show. You've been waiting for it, folks. You wanted to know Bo and I's take on Super Bowl food. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the important stuff. Now, I don't know what's happening at Casa de Bo, but I'll tell you what I have planned for the Super Bowl. I came across this recipe. Mm-hmm. Check this, okay? You take like 3-4 pounds of chicken breast, throw that stuff in a crock pot, Get yourself a bottle of the Frank's hot buffalo sauce.
Okay.
Pour that in. Set it on low for 8 hours, and then go fall back asleep. Okay. When it's done, you shred it apart. You throw in a packet of that Hidden Valley ranch seasoning, like if you're making your own dressing, and like a half stick of butter, and you let it all melt together. Then you serve that on some rolls, put some blue cheese on top, and some chives. That's going to be a hit right there. What do you got planned?
That is ridiculous. Well, obviously everybody in the block has asked me to cook, so they want me to bring out what I do.
They want you to eat your own food and not eat all their food. They're smart.
That might be their plan. But obviously hot wings. And when I say hot wings, my favorite way to make and eat hot wings is off the grill. Some people would think fried.
Yeah.
But man, I figured out when you allow just wings to marinate in that hot sauce for more than 12 hours and you hit them on that grill, because it doesn't take that long, the flavor is just intense. And it's tender. It's just great. It's grill flavor. And it's possibly because I moved to the desert and I enjoy grilling this time of year. Second, ribs. I always have to make ribs.
Now, you're not making ribs for everybody on the block. You're making ribs for you and yours.
No, listen, this is really going down. Like, I have money because whenever we do anything that's related like this, when I first moved into the block, people would smell my cooking. And then it was like the first time somebody was over the house, they're like, hey, man, what do you got on the grill? And I let somebody taste it, and then it was over because we're in New Mexico. You know where we're from. I make pulled pork and baby back ribs, and people are like, oh, my gosh, the greatest thing I ever had. So, yeah, I will be cooking. I'm going to start extremely early that morning so I can actually watch the game. Bacon-wrapped jalapenos.
Got to have those.
It's a must. Because the grill's going, I even hit them with a little bit of smoke on the tray before I just go put them back in the oven.
You know what I like doing with those, Bo? Of course, you have the cream cheese inside.
Yeah.
But I also like adding other kinds of cheese in with the cream cheese.
Okay.
And so you can make like different varieties of them. You can get fancy and throw some feta in some of
I've
them.
never thought about mixing up the cheese.
It all melts together in there. It's great.
You know, what I've been wanting to do is go to a butcher and get some really good hardwood smoked bacon, for my bacon wrapped jalapenos, to kick it up a notch.
I use that Right brand stuff for those, that real thick bacon.
Yeah. Oh, you got to have something good because it all, just turns into fat and goes away. But sausage.
Hungry.
You can't. It's not football. As was that 2 weeks ago?
We're not doing the sausage on the chin again, are we?
The neighbors, my kids, everybody wouldn't feel right if I'm not passed out by the fourth quarter with sausage on the chin.
Oh God! Let me tell you an underrated Super Bowl appetizer: the 7-layer bean dip.
Okay,
I love that stuff.
That is
man.
a good
especially
one.
if you make the good guacamole yourself. Hot salsa, sour cream.
That's my last thing, the guac.
There you go.
You have to have guacamole. I mean, if you don't like guacamole, don't hang out with me.
Never trust a man that says he doesn't like avocados.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Who doesn't like something that you can dip a chip into and it fills you up? And then here's the best part. When you go up to the bedroom at night, your wife's not mad at you because you didn't eat a vegetable. You get away with enjoying yourself and you were eating healthy.
Bacon wrapped jalapeno. The jalapeno is a vegetable of sorts.
I'm talking about guacamole, period.
Some vitamin C in there.
You get the guacamole on the list and for the health nuts too, you make sure, put some all fresh things in there. It's got to be real fresh guac, and people love it.
Are there a lot of health nuts showing up at your Super Bowl parties, Bo? I'm guessing not.
No, not these days. I've managed to get rid of all of them.
Good for you.
They know how I roll.
Good for you. All right, well, I guess we should talk about the game itself. You've heard absolutely zero analysis on this so far. If you've been watching ESPN, Fox Sports, NBC Sports, any sport outlet you want to talk about has been filled with that stupid ball story. But here we are. We're going to break it down for you and give us our picks for the game for the Super Bowl. Patriots and Seahawks. Bo, what do you see being the biggest factor in determining who's going to win this game?
Well, I coach the defensive side of the ball in my daily life, and I feel even as an offensive player in college, football games were won and lost on the defensive side of the ball. The offense, yes, we moved it down, we got points, but there were so many times as a player and now as a coach where I'm just like, golly, if we don't get that stop on third down, they kick that field goal or they score. It is the defense. And with that being said, I went through all the stats and I'm looking and I get to messing around with the 4 losses that each team experienced. And when it comes to Seattle.
Oh, I like where you're going with this, Bo.
Yeah.
Keep going.
When it comes to Seattle, I see the passing average, the number you got to get them to is 203 yards. Doesn't seem like a lot, right?
No.
The rushing average you have to get them to is 138 yards. That, too, it doesn't seem like a lot for a team that's in the Super Bowl. So their average for their 4 losses is 341 total yards. You don't have to be a mathematician to figure that out, people. Sean, here's the factor for Seattle. It's Russell Wilson, the golden boy. The beautiful bright smile in the Seahawks locker room is the guy that before this game comes on and I got the grease running down my face, I'm going to be telling everybody in the garage, it's up to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson will win or lose this game. The Pats can't win or lose it. The Seahawks can't win or lose it. It's Russell Wilson, and this is why. 7 picks during the regular season, 4 picks during the postseason.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what I was going to say. I don't think it's so much that Russell Wilson has to play out of his mind for Seahawks to win. I think he just has to not screw it up.
Not screw it up. And this is the worst one. He leads with 5 fumbles. So Marshawn Lynch only has 1 fumble, and I tried to find it on YouTube. I tried to find what game. Couldn't locate it because I can remember that fumble being in a situation where I was watching like a Sunday night game or something. Maybe it's an afternoon game, and it was like a read option. And everybody was talking, like the people that were doing the game were saying, Marshawn never fumbles. I don't think that's his fumble. But they still gave the fumble to him. Yeah, and I'm like, it really it comes down to that major factor. We have Baldwin, you have Kurz, and you got Earl Thomas, and obviously everybody knows Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor. The list goes on. We know them boys can play. They're going to go out there and shut people down, hit hard, create turnovers, and create havoc. Kurz is going to get open. On the Pats side of the ball, it's a very different story. You see LeGarrette Blount and what he was able to do. He's come alive. You think he's the guy that can go toe-to-toe with that defense? You think he's going to be able to go blow for blow, hold on to the ball?
Yeah, I mean, when I think the Seahawks and the Legion of Boom, I don't think size and power as much as I do speed.
Yeah.
So I think that's a matchup that could potentially favor the Patriots. How about Gronk? I'm thinking if I'm a Patriots fan, I'm hoping that they give Gronk the ball and do it early and often.
Well, my pick is Seattle. But I'm going to tell you, if I'm betting money on this game, I might just lean towards the Pats, and this is why. Their 4-loss number average to beat them, to get them to roll over. I look at football people like a heavyweight fight when you coach. You're looking for that small advantage. If I can get you in the later rounds to get a little tired and get a little sluggish and let me sneak a few points off as I'm jabbing you in the gut, guess what? I'm going to win a lot more than you're going to beat me. And 402 yards being the average number you got to get to beat the Pats.
Yeesh.
Yeah, that was startling to me. I'm like, you really have to beat the Pats. And on that list, this is why Sean's all happy. There's a team that's on this list twice, people.
Who's that team?
That is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs beat both Super Bowl teams. And the startling thing is, against the Pats.
That makes us using, I believe it's called the transitive property of equality.
Yeah.
Makes us the real Super Bowl winners,
You
does
are.
it not?
You are. If this was some like English league of soccer, you would be the champion. You beat the champs. There you go.
That's right.
Well, with that being said, you have numbers out there that tell you about average numbers of yards they give up in losses. That's a big thing with me because I believe in the defense. But there's a man out there, and his name is Mr. Edelman. If you go back, I was looking at one of these losses for Seattle, San Diego, Kansas City, and Dallas, underneath routes, the little Wes Welker types. You get the tight ends going, you get them going with the running game, play action, and you can dink and dunk them. That's what those teams did to Seattle to beat them. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, yeah, you can cover Gronk with Earl Thomas or Cam Chancellor. I forget the other linebacker's name. He's a good one for Seattle. You can cover up LaFell with Richard Sherman, but Edelman, that's your factor right there. And I'm thinking, Bo, don't say it. But then I get on the websites, and I'm pretty sure Edelman will bring us a nice chunk of change. Super Bowl MVP. Like 7 catches, 120 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
I can see that. In terms of MVP, if the Seahawks win, I predict it's going to be one of 2 players that gets the MVP. It's going to be Lynch or it's going to be Cam Chancellor.
Okay.
I think just the way that Cam Chancellor has been playing down the stretch, guy just seems to be getting stronger and stronger. You know, if he gets another pick, you know, even just a big interception at a pivotal time, because, you know, I don't know how you feel about the final score, but I think this is going to be a close game either way. So a play like that, a pick in the fourth quarter, third quarter, that could be the turning point of who decides the Super Bowl. So
yeah, and that's usually who they'll remember for the MVP.
But I do agree with you. I think Edelman and Gronk, really the two players you got to watch for the Patriots.
And it's something interesting. You forget 1 year removed from last year's playoffs, what happens to teams. Vince Wilfork, Darrelle Revis, and Jared Mayo, you know what happened to them last year in the playoffs? They all went home early because they got injured. This team is different. This is not that same Patriots team. And a lot of these guys that I mentioned when I talk about a Pats team, they're veteran. You have no idea if for the past 3.5, 4 weeks, Vince Wilfork and Darrelle Revis have been like, man, we're going to be all right. These young guys will get us to the Super Bowl. But when we get in that game, we're going to light these fools up. Wilfork could just go off. It's going to be a fun one to watch. I hope it's another classic and somebody has to win by field goal.
So again, your pick is the Seahawks?
Yeah, I still have to take Seattle just based on those 4 losses.
See, this always deeply concerns me, Bo. That is when we agree on something, because it's like, we must be wrong, because I'm picking the Seahawks too.
Yeah, and things are starting to look towards the Pats, but I told myself last week I wasn't going to do this.
But by the way, there's no way in hell I would bet on the outcome of this game. No way. I do not feel confident enough to bet on the Seahawks. If there was one thing I would tell you that I feel pretty good about betting on, it would be the over-under, the points.
Okay.
Last time I checked, it was 49.5. I'm going to take the over.
Even that being said, though, I like what you're saying about the turnovers, and I don't think either one of these quarterbacks are immune from just not having turnovers in this game. Russell Wilson and Tom Brady could have 2 picks apiece.
Yeah, it could happen. We'll see this Sunday, so enjoy that game. Enjoy that food. Gain a few pounds for us. Until next week, I'm Sean O'Donnell, along with my co-host Bo Greer, reminding you, tip your pizza man.
See you next week.